Okay, so I kind of started this already in midstream. I'm trying to do the Docker Compose with the same set of files that I had over on Windows. As you can see, I am on my Mac partition. So I've gone and started up Docker. It's Docker for desktop, as you can see. And I've got the Kubernetes Docker desktop cluster running on my Mac. And so far, I've managed to start up all these services except for two more. So I'm going to actually start those up here in a second here. Let's see what we got here. So I'm in my home directory. I downloaded this from my GitHub. Okay, so I want to do this as well. Open up another, because what I have left to do now is I've started up cart and order, and now what I need to do is start up the MVC, so which is good. So if I do a Docker container PS, I've got my order cart catalog server, so I've got a total of 7 going here, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, I am missing one. I actually am not, so I've got all 7 right here. So let me go ahead and do a Docker compose up web MVC. Okay, so let's let that run, and let's go ahead and take a look at some of our logs here. Docker container PS. I want to make sure that okay, that these look okay. They actually do, at least this one right here. I'm not seeing any glaring errors. I got my token server up and running. Okay, so this is listening actually on port 5200, I believe. So let's see the and as you can see right here, I'm trying to start up my port 5200. Not trying, I actually am. So as you can see, it's communicating. And when I tried to log in, I'm getting this particular error here. So I think this is one of those things I'm not 100% familiar as to what the deal is, whether it's a firewall issue or what have you, but obviously we cannot browse to it. And my Docker Compose file actually has that set up as my identity URL. So I am going to go ahead and try to change that. So I'm going to bring this down. Okay, so as you can see, I had to go and stop my container there. Now, this particular URL works in my Windows environment. This 10.0.75.1 works in my Windows environment. See, I don't have DNS set up there, so I have to kind of mess around with Docker ports and things of that nature. But I am going to take a look at my ipconfig, or it's my ifconfig. On the Mac, it's not ipconfig, it's ifconfig. Okay, without giving away my internal network details, I went ahead and did a Docker I did an IF stat to get another port, shall we say, a local IP address and a port on my local network, and I changed the identity URL to be that. So now I have a little more luck. I was able to hit the login button and log into the application right here. So again, it's one of these little minor subtle differences. Go going between Mac and the Windows is the IP addresses are going to change ever so slightly here. Okay, so I confess, I had old copies of the images, so what I actually had to do is rebuild and download the later version of SQL Server image on my box and then restart everything up. And then I was successfully able to log in. Something you probably won't run into. It's just the nature of going back to and making sure that your environment is up to date on all of the containers. So got all the containers up. I was able to log in. Now I can basically, you can see I can add stuff to the cart here, which is what I'm doing. And I am going to test out the orders. Actually, I did not create an order. I need to go back to the cart and do a checkout to create an order. So what I want to do is basically do this here. We'll skip that because I bypassed that in the code. And it looks like we've gone ahead and added an order. So if I go to the store again, I can see my order history and detail. And that basically is an indication that this is working. So thank you for watching. Basically the only difference from going from Windows to Mac here was having to go and change my IP address for that identity server from 175 to there we go, from 175 to this one here, because I didn't have that one, or I didn't have that other IP address that I have on Windows. So that's slightly different when you go back and forth between the two environments, but not a big deal. I had to change it everywhere where I was referring to identity server, because there's a couple of containers, more than one, where I was actually referring to the identity server. So thanks for watching. This demonstrates that the basically that the Docker Compose stuff works on the Mac with the same files that I use to generate the Kubernetes. So my next demonstration will be to get the Kubernetes cluster up and running on the Mac. Thank you.